It was a much simpler time. Back then, a gal was a gal and a guy was a guy, and we all did what we were supposed to. Not like this complete shit we got going on here today, where nobody knows who the hell is anybody, and everybody gets a trophy. Yeah, but back then it was much more simpler. Nowadays, anybody that was good is like a breaking old truck and lying in a field in the sun to dry. But those were more simpler times. Let me tell you back how it really was from day one. My parents are Italian immigrants. When they saw Statue of Liberty, they knew for sure that they had opportunities. And so they took them. My mother opened up a vegetable stand, and my father, he opened up a tire shop. But behind the tire shop in the basement, he was running moonshine. That's right, my father was one of the first New York City bootleggers of America. Way, way, way back when the times were good and it was easy to make money in that way. And I mean serious money, folks. That's how the story begins anyway. Well, let's see. My mother was a gambler. And, well, my father? Now that's a different story. My father was everything. He was everything to me, let's understand. But my father was a degenerate gambler, a drinker, a eater, a womanizer, and a liar, and a thief. But my father was a wonderful man, don't get me wrong. He taught me everything in the game. My father was a wonderful man, don't get me wrong. My father eventually got so good at killing that he wasn't shy. By the time he was an old man, he would hide the bodies in his manure. He said their bodies grew better flowers. That was my father. He was a murderer. For hire. Eventually, he taught me the business. So I got into the family business. And I must say, it was exceptionally lucrative. And my favorite choice of weapon? A butter knife. When I'm done with my hit, I spread blood all over the place. But let's back up. Let's go back to my father. He owned a whole string of taxi cab companies. He even had a bunch of police and some judges in his pockets. Essentially, he owned entire New York City. Entire blocks he used to just tell him what to do. And then he even owned some politicians that were in his left pocket. But my favorite, well, I grew up, those burlesque bars that my father had. Those burlesque bars were essentially my babysitters. That's where I grew up. Huh. Memories. Sorry about that. But anyway, it all started at a pizzeria. When we decided to start our own pepperoni factory, we figure we can hide the bodies in pepperoni casings and resell them to the public. That is just hand over fist cash. But I had my hand in everything. I would fix fights. I owned a bunch of boxes. Heck, I even owned some race horses. And we got to bootleg the mint julep every year. And I would make so much money and buy Italian wine and double my money. Heck, I took that money and I bought some go-kart racetracks. But when some of them races wouldn't take a dive, I handled business the way I had to handle business. And I didn't care how old those races were, whether they were teenagers or toddlers. When I say take a dive, you take a dive. There were so many bodies that I had to open up soup kitchens to dispose the bodies in all the soups that I sold everywhere. Well, I didn't sell them, but I got tax write-offs by the government. And with that money, I bought into some churches. But I gotta tell you, folks, life back then was much, much more better. The records were better, the music was better. Everything was better. The televisions were better. Even the news was better. Family get-togethers was definitely better. Everybody was there. We were all out to have a good time and make money. We kept everything in the family where it belonged. Family was the most beautiful thing to ever have, the most sacred. Nothing could break apart the family. And we would just get together and do our crimes and not tell anybody and support each other, no matter what our crimes. We didn't care. We had so much money, we'd buy dresses for these gals. Every single day they'd be wearing a new dress. And when they got done, they'd just give it away to charity. Because we knew how to build America back then. Back then, every car you buy came with a garage. And it was built better back then, too. And I tell you, any man in America can make any amount of money he wants to, while the wife stays home, bakes the bread, and gets the newspaper ready, and the cigar, and the beer, so when her husband comes home and tells those kids to shut up as he drinks his martini. My father was a real hard worker, and we respected him. He stayed out all night long making deals and drinking with all these rich folks, trying to get things done. But then, the night that his sister, my auntie, got murdered, he was working hard at his package stores. My father, there he was, as if he was just a regular schmuck, standing in lines and aisles looking at his inventory at one of his many package stores, while his sister was out there getting murdered by some bum. At my auntie's funeral, I vowed to the family upon some mozzarella sticks that I was eating that I'll get revenge. So I thought I'd get real, inventive, and I hired a couple of killer dogs, and I starved them, and I'm gonna get the bastard that killed my aunt, and I'm gonna feed him alive to my pooches here. Yeah, I'm gonna feed him alive and let these dogs tear his fucking guts out for ever thinking of killing my auntie or anybody in my family. And let me tell you, folks, that's how families ought to be, because those were the days. Those were the days. Not like now, not like today. Things were much better back then. Not like today. Things back then were so much better. In fact, that's back when I used to own a railroad line or train line. Made so much money that I had to use the train rail cars to carry my money every time I wanted to go somewhere and spend my money. I had so much money that it was just funny. But those were the days. Back then when dogs would try to attack a kid if the kid just even fought it wrong. And back then when I used to own the streets, everything you'd see in sight everywhere would belong to me. But not like today, where I'm just another nothing sitting in a damn Taco Bell line looking to see if they have an extra straw, 'cause this one's split.